All right, so in today's episode, we're going to go over the leading percentage gainer in the entire market today. We had a stock that went up over 200%. I think the peak was around 235, 240% gain on the day, which was impressive, but it was not super easy to trade, as I'll break down as we get into the recap. There were a couple other stocks that popped up, and they were tricky because they weren't super obvious. So I think this was a day where attention was a bit dispersed. I mean, we had a lot of attention on sort of the leading gainer, and then everything else, I guess, was sort of a distraction. So leading percentage gainer today, HOLO, currently sitting up 236%. Definitely, no doubt about it, put in a big move. Hit a high so far of about just under 550, 547 is the high. It has 67 million shares of volume. That's a lot of volume. If we look at the chart, we'll see that it is a recent reverse split. So, this kind of fits right in line, recent reverse split popping up. But if we look at this stock, we look at the chart, it's tough. This stock has had a history of some big red days. So, to be honest, and this is a huge gap down right here, I am familiar with HOLO, and it's not one that I'm super excited about. It was a special acquisition company, a SPAC. They merged, it sold off, it came back up, then this huge drop. So this morning when I saw that it was our leading percentage gainer, even early pre-market, I was kind of like, I don't love it. It's also a little bit on the cheaper side. So even though I'll trade, and I'll just kind of break it down on the whiteboard, I'm happy to trade, anything between more or less 2 and 20. So, $20 is over here, and let's say $1 is here. But I find that my distribution of trades is the highest, sort of in the middle of this range of like 5 to maybe 15 here. And I don't trade or make a lot of money in the lower end range. And so HOLO today, as it started, it was at like $2.50. So at that price, I was sort of like, it's a little cheaper. That means I'm going to have to trade with larger share size. Commissions are going to be higher, but I'm also probably not going to make as much on it. Anyways, it starts to, the move really begins around 5:30 in the morning, very early. Pops up, pulls back, kind of grinds higher. Had no volume yesterday, so the relative volume is very high today. Anyways, it pops up again, pulls back, pops up again, pulls back, pops up again. So we had a bunch of pullbacks, and then right at 8:20, kind of out of nowhere, I don't really know what happened here, but all of a sudden at 8:19, it rips from 250 pretty much straight to 3. I did a couple trades here. So I got a micro pullback right here on this trade. So I took this trade here, and I took this trade right here. These were the first 2 micro pullbacks that I bought. And on those first couple trades, I got green, but not by a lot. It's just nothing. I don't know. It just wasn't a huge move, and I didn't take, realistically, this went from 297 up to like 317, 320. And I got filled at about 3, and then took some profit, and then added back. Anyways, it just wasn't a huge move. The second one was very small. So then it pulls back. I had a nice dip trade here off of 307. Double bottom, 307. So got a nice dip trade down there, but it only goes up to like 315. So it's 7 cents a share. I did another dip trade down here at 3. It comes up to like 303. I stopped out on this red candle for a loss. I tried to buy another dip down here thinking that we previously kind of had support at the low of this pullback. So I was like, oh, maybe down in this area, like 85 will bounce. And we kind of had a little green candle, but it just went lower. So it sold off pretty hard. Anyways, it comes back up, and it sort of is difficult because it goes from 270 straight up to 310. Then it pulls back, and then it kind of barely though. And then next thing you know, we're at 355. And at 355, we had some real resistance. We finally broke through it here, and we squeeze up to 390. And then we sell off again. So, and this is all on a 10-second time frame. So I traded it fairly actively. but I did not trade it at the open. My last trade today was at 928 going into the open. I tried to buy the break of this wedge right here, but I got stopped out on that trade. So if we look at the, well, we could look at bigger time frame, the 1 minute chart. You'll see the spike here at about 819, the pullback, and then this move up. And the problem here was 2, 4, 6, 8 green candles in a row. It felt hard to trade this if you weren't in before the pop, which it didn't really make sense to be in down here because it was a weird pattern after that sell-off. And then right here, we did have a pullback, but a bunch of topping tails against 355. I was afraid of a jackknife move, the pop and the flush. So all in all, I did not find this to be easy to trade. And I took a number of trades on it, but my first trades at 819 here, I only made about, let's see, I made about $900 on these trades. So I made about 900 and then gave back half of it, was up only about 300 on the day. Then it comes back. Well, so let me walk you through the day. So at that point, I'm up 900. Then we had BDRX that hit the high day Momo scanner. So BDRX hits the scans, and that was as it popped up right here from 160 all the way up to 250. I bought it at 227 right here. As it was starting to come back up, I thought it was going to retest 50. It ends up dropping down. I stop out. Then it comes back up. So I lost $300 on this stock, which means I had gone from up 900 at my peak, and then I gave back half on HOLO, so I was up only about 400, and then I lost on this one $315. So then I basically was up only 100 on the day, and I kind of thought to myself, all right, let's be a little careful here. This is sometimes how you go from being green to red. I actually had 3 consecutive losers, and that's what brought me from up 900 to up only $96 on the day. And then at that point, I was like, all right, well, HOLO is obviously the one to focus on, but I'm just going to trade it with smaller size and see if I can sort of get myself back in the wheelhouse and or back into the driver's seat. But the fact is, this is not stock that was really in my wheelhouse because it was cheaper. Most of the breakouts were 10 to 15 cents. So with 3,000 shares, I was making like $200-$300. I tried to size up a couple times. I bought 10,000 shares on this pullback right here at 3, and that could have been perfect, but then it flushed, right? I had another trade. I can't remember where, but it was right here. I think this was only, that was 10,000 shares as well. But again, it just like was a break-even trade. So anyway, so net profit today, $1,023.12. Up 1,300 on HOLO, down 315 on BDRX, and I just have this feeling that it's not going to happen for me today. I didn't get in before this dip, so I tried to participate in this move up, but I didn't. I was chasing it. I didn't trade this range because it was way too volatile. I didn't trust it. I didn't take this trade here because I didn't trust it. It goes way higher, halts up, goes higher, pulls back, surges up. But again, I just was not feeling it. Part of the issue on this is the level 2 was hard to read because it's very thickly traded, stacks of buyers and sellers. So I don't have a good feel for the tape. That was definitely part of the problem. And surprising considering the float on it is like 1 million shares, but very thickly traded. So look, yesterday I was up $9,000. The day before I was up $3,800. When it's hot, it just is so different. I dig deep, I go aggressive, I do well. And when it's like this, it's just best for me to ease off the throttle and step back. And hey, look, $1,000 is fine. That's a green day. I have nothing to complain about. I would much rather be up 1,000 than down 1,000. So, it's a green day. Slow and steady is the name of the game. And it's just not a day where I felt like I was able to really hit any home runs. So earlier we had GLT. GLT had some big buyers on the bid, sort of pushing it up. But when it came to the top, sellers, sold into those buyers. So that was a little odd. Anyways, came back down quite a bit. TENX also popped up today, but I was like, I'm not going to go for that. I made almost 10 grand on it yesterday. Today, continuation, it's not a great continuation setup because it's down too much off of yesterday's high. A continuation setup ideally should be holding about 80% of the previous day's high. And then you're looking for a break and new highs. That's what we had on our VSN last week. This is just selling off, right? So now here you get a little bounce, but I think these pops get shorted and I didn't trust it. So no trades on that. Speaking of RVSN, RVSN on the daily, you could see how it kept moving a bit higher, sort of breaking the previous day's high, previous day's high, previous day's high, previous day's high. So those were all continuation days as it went higher, but that's not what we have on TENX. So yeah, so basically, leading gap, and also, by the way, GLT slightly higher float. So leading gappers today, HOLO currently up 228%. It's a big percentage gain. I made a little bit on it. I think people who bought and just kind of held certainly made more than me, even with smaller positions. I don't do that with 10, 15,000 share positions, but there are some people who, bought 2,000, 3,000 shares, 4,000 shares, and they just kind of bought on a pullback and they didn't feel they needed to try to scalp 10 cents of profit. They just let it go. And next thing you know, they're up 30, 40 cents a share. So good job for those of you guys that came out on top on it. But for me, I didn't find it easy to trade. Overall market, S&P 500, well, we're rallying. The market's at all-time highs right now, as we speak today. So that's great to see. We've got, a nice tailwind when it comes to the overall markets, which is much better than what we were dealing with, at the beginning of the year. I don't know, last year going into 2023, we were still definitely in bear market territory on the overall market. So things have definitely changed a lot there. Sentiment is improving. We don't know exactly where we're going to top out. Are we going to keep going higher? We don't know. We're not sure, but we may pull back down to the 200 moving average. That would be fine if we do. Usually the 200 is a good spot to, sort of be looking to add positions on the S&P. But anyways, I'm grateful to see the overall markets moving higher. That's good for those of us that have put, short-term day trading profits into longer-term investments like IRAs and things like that. So yeah, so overall, any day that I can just chip away a little bit of profit is good. And then at the end of each month, push it aside into the long-term investment accounts and watch it grow. So that's the name of the game. And that's it for me. I'll be back at it for my recap tomorrow. So I hope you guys tune in. I'll remind you, as always, that trading is risky. My results aren't typical, and there's no guarantee you'll find success, whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So manage your risk, take it slow. I'll see you back here first thing tomorrow morning.